So what do you do when there's cheating in a relationship? Do you leave? Do you stay? What about the betrayer giving the betrayed a one-time offer to call a truce and let them cheat back? You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the notorious hall pass. Welcome to 90 Day, the Last Resort Sessions. I'm your host, Suki Krishnan, but you can call me Suki. 5 of your favorite 90-day couples have bared the highs, the lows in their relationships, but they're nearly at the point of no return. So they've agreed to get couples therapy in true 90-day style at a stunning resort to give their love and relationship one last shot. We see Kalani and Asuelo's infidelity issues come to a head with a huge reveal during couples group therapy. Kalani reveals that Asuelo gave her a hall pass following her discovery that he cheated on her. And how do we understand the damage of infidelity in our own love lives? Cheating. So let me introduce you to our featured therapist this week, Petey Silveira. And Petey has decades of deep couples therapy, and she does it in a really interesting way. Petey's also a past life regression expert and hypnotherapist. Petey, so the question I have is, how exactly does past life regression work? And have you ever caught anyone trying to fake being hypnotized?
Such an interesting question, Suki. I love it. And first off, no, I have never had anybody try to fake me hypnotized. I don't even know that anyone's asked me that before. But yes, it is fascinating. So let me just give you a quick rundown about what is the past life regression. So it is all based on reincarnation, right? And so that is believed to have occurred when the soul or the spirit, after the death of a body, comes back to earth in a newborn body. So every soul will go through patterns of lifetimes for the whole purpose of spiritual growth and soul development. The past life regression comes in when you're in a hypnotized state. So your conscious mind has been quieted and your subconscious mind takes over. That's where you access all the memories from another lifetime. So I take the client back to the cell memory from where the source of their problem was developing. And they go back to a past lifetime where there was usually some trauma or damage, because when there has been an abrupt death, the soul has no chance to heal itself from that lifetime. So it will bring in on a cellular memory all kinds of things. People come to me, they're claustrophobic. Well, perhaps they were buried alive in the tombs in Egypt. We want to talk about how many people were in the Holocaust and they were buried under hundreds of bodies. So much claustrophobia has occurred. So many night terrors. I mean, there's just healing at all different levels. So this is the process that I do. And then when the person goes back to those cellular memories, we are able to create the healing at the end of it. And the interesting part is I do some of this with couples too.
How does that play out in a relationship?
Well, there are certainly couples or one part of the couple that comes in to try to figure out what's going on in their relationship, and they're looking for a past life regression as a source of knowledge for them. So I had a client, and actually she came in because when we did the intake, she realized her homeostasis was feeling trapped and unhappy and so lonely. She had actually been adopted by her parents, and her parents gave her a wonderful life. She never understood why she felt so isolated and unhappy. Well, we did the regression, and she found herself in the 17th century in Ireland. She was in an arranged marriage with a man that was 30 years older than she was. She was in her late teens, and he would imprison her in her room because she would always run away from him. Well, in this current lifetime, when I brought her back, she realized she was staying in her marriage by her choice as a prisoner of her own making. She was with this emotionally and mentally abusive man. She was married 30 years. She had left 3 times for a long length of time, always came back and was super miserable, I always ask after we do the healing, is the pain still in your body in this lifetime? And she said, oh my gosh, it's in my right lung. Well, we know from Louise Hay, who wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life, the right lung means she felt she wasn't worthy of living her life fully. So these clues are crucial to me to do the healing work. And so I did it with her. And guess what? When she finished, she became at peace to leave the marriage and move on. So sometimes people leave and sometimes people stay. It just is their own journey.
So you're saying our souls travel in the same lifetime, repeating paths until those paths are corrected?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. And so some people I have, put into regression, they've had 65 lifetimes with the same spiritual themes of what they needed to resolve and heal. Some people 5 times. I mean, it just keeps reoccurring until there is a healing. That's the karmic path.
That's the karmic path.
But I can do the healing for them and bring their soul to a restful place so these things don't have to plague them the rest of this lifetime.
Really interesting. And the fact that there can be healing and there can ultimately be peace and your soul can be at rest. Oh, that is what we all want. We want that peace to resonate throughout all of us. What did you get out of the 90-Day Fiancé couples, out of curiosity?
Well, I did do past life regression and between life regression with one of the couples. First, I did it with them individually, and then we figured out what their soul contract. They were mesmerized. They had never had this amount of insight ever. And it made perfect sense to them, even though they had never heard of past life regression before this series.
Can you give me a little tease? Can you tell me who it was?
I don't know that I'm supposed to.
Oh, come on. Give me a hint. What do they look like? A little
it's
something?
One of the most popular couples. One of the most popular couples. I'm going to tell you that.
I feel like everybody's popular. You're not good, Petey. That's not enough for me. All right, Petey, let's go. Let's get into it. What is a hall pass? Because it sounds like it could be sexy. It could be playful. Maybe it's a tool that somebody can use. Tell me, can we actually have a breakthrough after a hall pass?
There can be a breakthrough, but it depends on the couple and their level of intention and what they want to do with it.
You know, we hear about celebrity hall passes all the time, but when you go into effect of, that really happening in your real life, can't be a good thing, can it?
Well, for some people, if it's agreed upon between the two of them as a couple, it can be an okay thing, although you bring in extra people and you're going to have usually complications. You have to have firm boundaries in line. But when one person is giving the other the hall pass, it is usually because there has been an affair or there has been a betrayal. They think this is going to make it even. They think this is going to make things right.
I always feel like, technically hall pass is cheating on a fundamental level. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it isn't cheating if it's been agreed upon by both people, because then it's not a secret. It isn't a betrayal. It's been agreed upon. Now, will that agreement stick? Will it stay? It depends on the couple's issues involved.
All right, that's good to know. Technically, it's not cheating if it's agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Petey, 90-Day Fiancé has countless couples go through the cycle of suspicion, lack of trust, betrayal, and attempts to move on. Kalani and Asuelu from season 6 are no strangers to this. They've been together for a while, they've got 2 kids, and from the outside you can see they seem pretty happy, but behind closed doors, they're up against infidelity. I want you guys to listen to what she has to say.
We're here because we've had a lot of issues with infidelity.
What?
Yes. So we are trying to figure that out. And I think the biggest thing for us is trying to figure it out for our kids.
All right, Petey, I hear kids and I hear her voice and I hear the disappointment. And like so many of us who have children, including myself, you do anything for your kids. And it seems like she's at that point.
Yes, I would agree with you. Betrayal is an awful experience, right? Infidelity is one of those most painful experiences somebody can encounter because it really is so heartbreaking and it destroys trust on so many levels. And all of these things affect your children as well in relationships. They pick up on the vibes that are going on in the marriage, don't they? There's so much trauma that's happening because trust has been broken, and there can be shame and guilt, and then, anger and depression and sadness. And trying to recover from that is this huge task. So I don't think it's unusual that Kalani would want peace in the family for the children. Do you?
No, I know she wants peace in the family, but what about Asuelu? It seems like he's a bit caught off guard. And, it seems like in therapy, one person is done and the other person doesn't grasp the severity of the situation. And, 90 Day fans, we know a thing or two about him. Has he taken responsibility for the kids and, his actions, and knowing that what he did led to the fracture that they're at, the point of no return?
Well, I think it's important to also point out that Kalani is an empath, and so she feels things a lot more, and she's much more sensitive to the needs of the kids. And of course, we have all of these issues like avoidance and denial and wanting to rationalize why this is happening. It all comes into play. And, people can do that for years at a time. So, yes, is he surprised? Sure. He appears surprised. Does he know underneath something was happening that needed to be addressed? I do believe he did.
Yeah, but obviously he cheated for a reason. I mean, did he ever give a reason? Cheaters cheat because something is not filling their soul, or maybe he's just being a dude and the wind blew the wrong way and he just had to go in that direction. I don't know. You tell me.
I believe it's something much more deep than that. No, but what's going to be the key? It's awareness. It has to be addressed. But we have to start the conversation somewhere. So this is going to be a place where it starts, I think.
You've seen this in hundreds of couples you've counseled. Is cheating the worst offense within a couple?
Cheating is the worst offense. There's so many other damaging aspects because the trust is broken. It's broken in every aspect of the relationship because then it's based on falsehoods, isn't it? So when you have no honesty, you can't have depth. You can't be authentic. You can't be transparent. You can't trust that anything will be received well or communicated well. I mean, it just creates havoc.
I mean, I feel like before you get to that point, you might have to have a sit down with the person you love, as difficult as it is, to say something's really broken here. And before I go somewhere else, we need to have an honest conversation.
I was just going to add, the biggest thing I think that is so unsettling for me in session when I'm working with the couples is, I see each one individually first. And so many times when there's been an affair, what does one say to me? What they don't know won't hurt them. That always sends chills at me because I'm like, oh my gosh, here we are.
Yeah, the secret cheater.
Yes. And, it's so damaging, that kind of thinking, because the real truth is it takes energy. Having an affair takes energy away from the primary relationship. And so the partner feels that just like the children feel it, right?
Absolutely. You brought up cheating, but I always think about emotional cheating too.
Oh, yes.
Those side texters, those people that slide into each other's DMs just to feel good about somebody paying attention and saying, oh, it's just words. It's just my high school sweetheart. There's all of these things that kind of happen where people feel like, it's really not an infraction. But it really is, because emotional cheating sometimes could be a little bit more intense than the maybe physicality. Your thoughts on that?
Yes. And women with emotional cheating, they always tend to go deeper than the male. And so it becomes layered on so many levels because when there is that emotional connection, you have, it's almost mind, body, spirit is happening then. So it's different if it's just the physical connection.
Yeah, and we saw that layering piece happening in the relationship with Asuelo and Kalani because, Kalani gets that hall pass, and then all of a sudden, that hall pass turns into some intense feelings for her that she just can't shut off. We're going to dig deeper into the damage of infidelity in our own love lives. And also, we'll unravel some of your questions. Although Kalani and Asuelu have had their fair share of highs and lows, pinpointing how they ended up at this breaking point can be a real challenge. Luckily, we have resident therapist Petey here to break it all down and really get into why this hall pass turned into a total fiasco.
I told him to please tell me the full truth, and then he disclosed that someone had offered to give him a job.
Welcome back. I'm Suki Krishnan. You can call me Suki, and this is 90 Day The Last Resort Sessions. Cheating in the hall pass, and how do they relate to each other? Therapist Petey Silveira joins us to unpack it all. Kalani and Asuelu from season 6 of 90 Day Fiancé are at the last resort, and they're hashing out their feelings about Asuelu's cheating. The discomfort and resentment has been brewing for a while. Take a listen to this explosive revelation that happened during their group therapy.
I told him to please tell me the full truth, and then he disclosed that someone had offered to give him a job. And he accepted it. I told him, that's a wrap. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't deal with that. So then to make it even or fair, then he said I could have a hall pass and then I could go kiss someone if I wanted to. But he only told me that because he thought I wouldn't do anything. I did take the hall pass.
Petey, what do you think?
The hall pass. Well, that can be a tricky subject, can it? I mean, it's essentially a get out of jail free card, right? For infidelity.
Right. It's one thing when it's done with a celebrity, right? But we're not talking about my neighbor. I get a hall pass with my neighbor or, my high school sweetheart. That's not cool, I would think, because it could turn into something that is much more serious.
Right. And almost always turns into something more serious, honestly.
Really?
Yes. Yes, it does. But we have to understand the people that I see, my clients, it is because it's turned into something more serious. So this is the side that I see in my office with clients. Something has gone wrong. There has not been just this flirty little hall pass given because the whole idea is that the partners consented to it and you have to discuss the hypothetical, right? Let's say someone is, given the permission to use the hall pass and they're on a business trip and they use it and one thing happens and they hook up and they come home and then the other person saying, you actually used it? I thought we were just kind of kidding about it. So there's so many variables that can happen about it. So you have to decide with really strong communication, why is the hall pass being given? Why?
Well, you just heard Kalani talk about, tell me the full truth. Tell me about everything that happened during that encounter to Asuelu. Did she really need to know the full truth to get a full understanding as to why her husband, made this decision?
She did need the whole truth. And when there has been a betrayal, that is the number one thing that I do when I'm in session. The person that was betrayed gets to ask anything and everything. And maybe it has to be 50 times with more and more details because nobody can get past that because of the trust level that's been broken. So yes, she needed to know exactly what happened. And I think that was a good idea because we saw all that spun forth from that then.
Why is that process going to help heal the person who's been betrayed?
Because it goes back to trust. They have been lied to. They need to understand exactly what has happened. They need truth. Truth is a must in a relationship. It's a must. That begins the healing process.
And for him, does he need to sit in the fire and hear her pain and feel her pain?
Yes, he absolutely does. That's part of the healing process. He has to come clean. He has to, or there's nowhere to go with that. It's just further lies and further betrayals.
You know, we talk about infidelity and we've seen it play out in our real lives. Maybe we've known friends. Maybe somebody listening has also experienced it. Let's talk about the idea and why do people cheat, Petey?
That's a loaded question. That's a big question. Why do people cheat? Well, a lot of people think cheating just comes out of nowhere, actually, but cheating is due to deficiencies in the relationship that ends up leading one person to feel lonely and devalued. You know, Dr. John and Julie Gottman run the Gottman Institute. They've spent the last 40 years analyzing what makes relationships work or not work. And they think that a partner that is cheating feels this way because the other partner has, over a period of time, constantly dismissed or turned away their emotions. So it's a predictor of divorce. Gottman says, you know, an example of this turning away is like, you know, if you're just wanting to tell your partner something, you know, that you really feel strongly about, something affected them deeply, and the partner is there scrolling on their phone. Yeah, You know, this emotional bid that the partner is trying to get them desperately to listen to get affirmation, to get a hug from. When they don't get that, when those moments are missed over and over and over again, well, you know, what's going to happen? They don't get this. It's called negative comparisons, actually, is what comes in, because the partner starts comparing them. Oh my gosh, but I can talk to this person at work and they just give me their undivided attention. They care about what I'm saying. Oh, we've got the comparison coming in. So are they going to be vulnerable? Of course there's a vulnerability that's going to occur. It's very harmful when you start the comparison process, isn't it?
Yeah, really hard. But what really struck me also is how women and men handle cheating. For men, it feels like it's just about the physical betrayal. For women, it is absolutely more emotional. I want you to take a listen to this.
I already know that Kalani kissed the other guy, but I didn't know Kalani have sex with him. And then today, I saw her texting him. So now I'm more worried that how serious things with her and the other guy.
Okay, so is he getting nervous now that things are starting to turn into a little bit more than just the hall pass?
I would say so, Suki. Remember, he had this physical encounter for all of the reasons we just talked about. She took her physical encounter and she went emotional with it. She developed feelings and he can see that. He can hear that. He's got the vibes of what's going on. So he wasn't doing this for emotional connection. You know, it was to create his emotional distancing. She ended up below the levels because she's deep, right? Kalani is very deep and she wants the mind, body, soul connection. So she went on all levels.
Well, listen, the only other guy I think she's been with has been Asuelo, right? She lost her virginity to Asuelo, so...
Exactly. I think in talking with her, she was amazed at, you know, how different it can feel with a different experience, because we have to remember he's been shut down emotionally. So now she is with someone that she is connecting with on a physical and emotional level. That's enormous for her. She didn't even know this could exist.
So I want to know, is there a way to get beyond sexual betrayal? You said this is the ultimate betrayal that somebody could do in their relationship. So is there a way to get beyond it?
There is. It's called couples counseling. That's what it is called. Because once a couple fully commits to wanting to understand why this is happening, they can still fully say, I love you. They still have this love for each other. Not that they're unbelievably angry and depressed and in grief over what has happened, but they've decided, no, I love this person. I don't even know why I did this. So we get into the heart of it. And yes, one of the tools is past life regression. I mean, the tools is teaching communication, understanding how to express yourself in a way that your partner can respond to, and then give credibility and a listening mode to the partner. I mean, there's so many healing tools that can be used, but they have to want to work on it.
I really hope that works out for Asuelu and Kalani because, they're one of my favorites. Maybe it's because the kids, maybe it's because, we've seen her kind of grow up through the 90-day lens, and we want nothing but happiness for her and him.
Yes.
All right, Petey, your expertise has given us so much special insight into the mental workings of Kalani and Asuelu's relationship. But let's pivot a little bit to our listeners who have walked that same path. Petey, I'm going to play a message we received from one of our listeners, and I really want you to give your advice. So here we go.
Hi there. I have a relationship dilemma. I am in a very important, one of the most important relationships of my life. He is my first love, and he is the father of my only child. And I feel like he loves me hard, but at the same time, I don't think he has any real intentions of being with me for the long haul, building anything significant with me, and he can never really be faithful to me. Everyone knows about me and this relationship and how hard I fight for this relationship, despite the worst that he's put me through. It seems as though he manipulates every situation to go his way. So my question is, when people are unfaithful and lie to their partners, do those kind of people ever feel real guilt and really acknowledge their mistakes and bad behavior? Thank you.
Ooh, Anonymous, thank you so much for this letter. All right, Petey, take it away. I mean, I feel like I have an opinion here right away, but I want to know about your opinion because you are the expert.
It is a big question, a very big question. And I'm going to say the answer is yes, because I've had these people in my office in session. These people that have been unfaithful and have lied to their partner can truly feel remorse and guilt. It is possible because once they truly understand why they did it, that's when the healing begins. Now, so many people have come into my office and they're like, well, I was just labeled by another therapist as a sex addict. And I just have to go to meetings and, there's so many other reasons that never get explored on why did this happen. We just don't need this kind of a diagnosis. We need to look at the why. And yes, people can feel true remorse and their partner can feel that from them.
Yeah, but for Anonymous, I feel like here she has a child with this person, and all she is looking for is to be loved. She has chosen this person time and time again, but this person chooses everyone else but her. At least that's what I'm hearing in this letter.
Yes, they need to go to counseling.
Yeah, they need to go to counseling. But I want to know more about, why do women stay in it? Why do you choose the person who chooses not to love you? Why do you choose the person who chooses to put everyone else but you first? Why do we do that as women?
I'm going to take you right back to that homeostasis that woman knows. If she grew up with a parent that wasn't able to show love to her, because of their own issues, and that's what she's so familiar with. She's putting herself in a situation over and over where she can't feel loved. She is not their number one, and it's familiar, and they stay. She's saying in here, I feel like he's gaslighting me. It makes me feel terrible. I feel crazy. That is serving her to stay, because is this something that her children need to see as a role model for a marriage? No, it's not. She has to get to the core of why she's staying and then see if he's going to choose to do something different or not. She has choices here.
Yeah, Anonymous, you have choices. You have power. You can take the power dynamic back in this relationship. You're the one that is really already reflecting and seeing things falling apart. So for me, I say, you know what? You're seeing the gaping holes, you're seeing the ditches. Start building fences, if you want to mend those fences. But, first and foremost, start putting yourself first. That's one lesson that I've learned, that you got to love yourself first, right? Before you can love somebody else. And the other factor is that you have a child. The child has to be shown how to love. So we want to break those patterns of behavior that we've created in the past. So thank you so much for your honesty, and we wish you the best of luck, Anonymous. Petey says you can. You can put this all back together, but you gotta put in the work. Petey, the bottom line, I want to know, as we wrap this up, this conversation, the hall pass. Can the hall pass ever really work?
I'm going to say no. No, the hall pass does not work. It's a Band-Aid. It's a, let me try to make this better. Let me try to not have me be the limelight. Let me try to get out of this some way. I mean, there are so many reasons for the hall pass. Let me see if I can ever get to a different layer of intimacy with someone else. Maybe you can. I don't know. Just explore it. No, the hall pass isn't going to work, but it's going to bring you into therapy to figure out why. So that's a vehicle for healing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely a vehicle for healing, because true intimacy is tough. Well, Petey, thank you so much for joining us. It's 90 Day, the Last Resort Sessions, your newest 90-day obsession. We want to give a special thanks to Petey Silveira for sharing her wisdom this week. Next time, we'll bring on resident therapist Jason Pendergrast to talk about secrets, lies, and confrontation, and how to build trust in a relationship through communication. And we hear from Jovi and Yara from 90 Day, who's hiding something behind the other's back. I wonder what they're hiding. Till next time, everybody, I'm Suki Krishnan. You can call me Suki, and this has been 90 Day, the Last Resort Sessions. The 90 Day Last Resort Sessions is produced by TLC and Sony Music Entertainment. TLC and WBD executive producers are Michael DeSalvo, Cameron Curtis, and Margaret Kelly. Executive producers are Sarita Wesley, Jasmine Henley Brown. Our senior producers are Medina Parwana, and our producer for this episode is Samara Lenga, and our associate producer is Jade Abdul Malik. Engineering is done by Sam Baer, and our production manager is Tamika Balance Kalasny.